Welcome to today's theater craft. I'm so glad you're here. So during the holidays when you get those like cookie tins, with butter cookies and things like that in there, I always feel so guilty throwing those tins away or recycling them or whatever. So I held on to one for a long time, and I was trying to figure out what to do with it. Now, if you know me at all, you know that I like things that are sparkly. And so I decided to take one of those tins and kind of glam it up. So this is a regular cookie tin, and I've added some mirror tile and rhinestones. And on the top here, you can see I have different medallions from different Broadway shows. Now, I'm going to show you how to do this. It does take a while because I've put all of these rhinestones on individually, but I'm going to show you how to do it and today's theater craft. All right, let's get crafting. Okay, here's the cookie tin, just a standard cookie tin. And what I'm going to do first is I want to spray paint it just to give it a blank canvas. So I just have some gloss white spray paint. Okay, so the tin has dried. It's been actually several days. I got carried away with other projects. And so I've pulled together some ideas of what I might want to do and some of the materials that I think we might want to use. So I've got these. These were right out of playbills, and I took some resin and I just put some resin on the top and on the bottom of them, and literally just took it with a paintbrush and took my UV light. So they're quite sturdy. I did several coats on them, and I've got a whole bunch of them in here. These, like I said, were right out of the catalogs or programs. And so I thought I would use those to decorate the top. And then I have these little mirror pieces. These were, you can get these online. I got these on Amazon. And they're a variety of sizes. They had square and rectangle pieces as well, but I chose these. And then I got a ton of just like glitz and glamour. These are mirror tiles, and I thought I would put those kind of around the side, and you'll see that in a bit. And I've got some rhinestones. I've got some individual rhinestones, which I think I'm going to use as well in varying sizes and colors. And I've got my glue gun, and I've got some E6000 that we're going to use. And something that's really important is having a jewel picker. And mine just disappeared. Jewel picker helps you to pick up there it is. So I've got different kinds, but this is one of them. So it helps you to pick up the rhinestones a little bit easier when you're placing them, because I want to make this like all glitz and glamour. So let me clear the space a little bit so that we can get started. Okay, so I'm going to start with the base, and if you notice, I had spray painted it. It was just to kind of get some of that pattern off. You can still see a little bit through. It was important not to do the top here because that right up here, that's where the top is going to go in. I could actually add some details to the center. We'll think about that later. So these glass tiles here are literally adhesive, and you can cut them. These are great because you can cut them to size if you need them. This is the way the strip came, happens to be a good size for the side of this. It's a little bit small, it's not quite tall enough, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer, I think, of rhinestones to the bottom of it. So I'm going to kind of put this right along, and notice I'm peeling it as I go, because otherwise it will get stuck to everything, and that would be bad. And I'm sorry that's so close for you. These are shiny. Okay, so it's got a really good grip, and boy, is that shiny. It already feels very disco ball like. All right, I'm going to continue. I have a couple of other pieces. I'm going to add those on and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so it was actually 2 pieces. It worked perfectly. Here is where they meet up. And I decided it didn't quite match up. So I decided to overlap it a little bit. And the adhesive is so good that it seemed to work. So there we go. There's the beginning of the base. So now I'm going to take this rhinestone trim. I think that's really pretty. And it's got kind of a nice weight to it. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it at the bottom here. So I'm putting some E6000 because that's going to help really hold it permanently. But E6000 takes a little bit of time to set up. So I am going to add just a couple of drops of hot glue just to help keep it from moving. Just a couple of places just to keep it from moving until it sets up. So here we go. We're going to put that. Looks so cool. And it gives a nice kind of base to that. See what I mean? I like it. All right, so I'm going to go all the way around the base here with the E6000 and the hot glue, adding those rhinestones to fill in that gap there. Okay, so that is all adhered on the bottom, and I just basically at the end I cut the metal bridge there with some pliers. You could probably use scissors too. I just didn't want to use scissors on the metal, but look how glitzy that is. So we're going to put this aside now and take the towel away, and I'm going to work on the top. So my goal here is to make this, like musical theater glam. And so I'm going to so I was just kind of putting these where I thought I might like them based on color. I didn't want all the blues next to each other, etc. And as you see, I have a whole bunch of them over here. I could kind of switch some of those out. Okay, so now I've got the mirrors here, and I've got my E6000 because these are not adhesive. They don't have the adhesive on the back, so I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on each one of these and glue them down. So this will really be solid once they are cured. And my goal is to glitz this up and make it really fun, like kind of old world, the old Hollywood kind of glamour. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all of these down, and you don't have to watch me do it, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, the mirrors are all on the outside are all glued down. The good thing about the E6000 is you have a little bit of time to move them about if the spacing isn't right, and so that was really good. I thought it may be kind of cool to put these diamond tiles in the middle. I like that, I think. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna give a little bit of E6000 there. A little hard to pick up. They're very thin. Okay, so now we've got that. Now I'm going to put the images, these star images. There's a little glue there. I'm not going to worry about that because I'm going to use glue throughout for all the rhinestones anyway. So I'm just going to start building here. And I'm going to put them in between the circles here, and I'm going to skip a circle and go to the next one. So like this. All right, so we got a good start here on our treasure box, but I am actually going to make it even more glitzy. Okay, so I just looked at this side here and I measured, and it's like 2 of these little mirror tiles will fit nicely around here. And again, I can add another base of, I have smaller rhinestones to kind of match the other the base of the piece itself. Now the thing about these mirror tiles here is you can actually cut them. So take your scissors and you want to kind of cut them carefully. They are glass, but go all the way down and cut them. And then we're going to apply them exactly as we applied on the base of the tin. So this is all done all the way around, applied it exactly as I did on the bottom, and I had to cut off a couple of the mirror tiles to make it fit, but that works beautifully. So now I'm going to add this smaller rhinestone trim right to the bottom there, just as, again, an accent. I think that's kind of fun. So I'm going to do the same exact process that I did before. Use some of the E6000 and the hot glue. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, so that trim is on. You can see it down there. That looks so pretty. And so now I'm going to play on the top, and I've got a bunch of rhinestones, a couple different colors. I thought I'd keep it a little bit more neutral with I have some really pretty gold ones here, and then the standard clear. So now it's all about kind of filling in. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to play and fill in some of the white space here. And I'm going to use my E6000 and go around. I'm thinking I might put a bunch around the end here. I've got a jewel picker, make it easier to pick up the rhinestones like that. So I am going to go and kind of go around. I was kind of playing here to see if some of these might look good in this space. And so I got some kind of there, just tacked there. So I'm going to go around, and I'll have you check in periodically just so you can see my progress. But literally going to take my E6000 like I did before. I'm going to put some along the edge here. I have another E6000. Not to worry. But I think I'm going to do like a medium size along the edge. I think that's kind of the best fit. And I'm going to go right along the edge and add some glitz there. So like I said, it's going to be a process going through all of this, but I think it'll look so cool at the end. So I'm going to continue working on this, and I'll let you know where I'm at in a little bit. Okay? So I have done all around here, and I added the rhinestones around the star in the middle. So you see it's got some sparkle now. I'm going to add even more. So I've got some smaller rhinestones that I'm going to add into some of the smaller spaces. And in here I want to glitz it up as much as I can. So I'm going to keep going, and I will update you periodically. So you see here, I'm going to lift it up so you can see I'm filling in between the different posters with a couple of colors of rhinestones. All right, and so I'm going to show you how I'm doing this. So I'm taking my E6000 and I'm putting a dollop in between the different the two different poster designs. And now there's certainly an easier way to do this. They have little tiny nozzles that you can put on them. I don't have any currently, but that would have been an easier way to do this. So I'm literally just putting a dollop on and then spreading it around with a tiny little brush. And when you're using E6000, make sure you're in a well-ventilated area. All right, so putting that, and then I'm kind of doing like a random, like kind of random pattern. So I'm doing like just a clear jewel at the top, and then see I'm using my jewel picker here, and then I'm doing a couple of the gold rhinestones, and then I'm putting a larger clear rhinestone, and then putting some clear ones underneath it. And I'm not being exactly particular. Not all these spaces are exactly the same size, because some of these images are a little bit bigger than others. So, and then I'm going to put some gold underneath it, just mixing up the colors. I liked the way the gold pulled out the gold in some of these poster designs, which is why I decided to incorporate it. And just adding some gold in there. And then I'm going to put a larger, oops, I just dropped it, a larger gemstone down at the base here. And then I'm going to put some silver ones around it. And again, sometimes I've been able to get 4, sometimes I've been able to get 5. It really depends on the space that I've got in there. So, I'm not going to be too worried about it. Depends on what I got. Let's see, maybe I'll get 5 in there. This one down a little bit. Okay. All right. So you can see that right there. You can see how it sparkles. All right, I got one more to do, and then I'm going to continue on with another area. So as you see here, I'm continuing to add just jewels around. I added some jewels in the center here, and right now I'm adding gold around the edges. I had added the clear ones, and I just thought I'd add some gold just for a little bit more dimension. So I've added just a little dollop of glue. And again, if I had one of those precision tips, that would make it a lot easier, but I don't. And so I'm adding a little bit of glue and putting the jewels in. Sometimes they're a little tricky to get in. And I've already done that glue on these sections. And again, just layering it a little bit just to add some more interest. And I mean, I don't know how much more I'm going to go for this in terms of adding more jewels, but I'll finish this row that I'm doing, and I'll check in with you in a moment. Okay, so I have finished the top. I think I'm going to leave it as it is. There are some blank spaces, but I actually kind of like the negative space there. I think that looks really cool. And there's the side, but I discovered that I'm not a big fan of this white line across the side. So I was trying to figure out like how I take care of that. So there were a couple of options that I came up with. And one is, I have this trim here. And I thought, sorry, that's very, very close. I'm sorry you can't see that. This trim here. And I thought, that would be really kind of cool. The problem with it is when I put this up against this, it makes for a very long, see it dangles down way below. And I could trim them. That would be certainly an option. The other option would be for this, if I decided I liked it, because I actually kind of don't mind it kind of hanging over the edge there, is to put a base on it. Put some sort of, could be even like a candlestick on the bottom and have that kind of raised. It would almost look like a cake plate. So I'm not really sure I want to go that route. Then the other option is to use these same rhinestones, that same grouping of rhinestones, and put those underneath here so that it kind of covers up the white a little bit, and it will give a little bit of kind of a boundary there for the lid when it snaps on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'll use some of the E6000 glue and my hot glue, and I will put that on the same way I did before, and I'll be right back. Okay, it has all been applied, and it's around the edges, so it just kind of borders the top of this bottom part of the tin. I love this. I just think this is such a fun way to, number one, use something that already exists, but then also create a little treasure chest for anything that you have. And it gives a chance to have some like old Hollywood glamour along with our musical theater charms there. So here we go. I hope you try upcycling something like this in your own house. Make it doesn't have to be glitzy like this, but it could be certainly something that you love and goes along with your visual aesthetic. But thank you for joining me for this week's Theater Craft. I will see you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.